Have you ever stopped to think that the oil sitting in your kitchen right now could be one of the main causes of your chronic inflammation, your unexplained weight gain, and even that constant fatigue you feel every single day? I know this might sound alarming, but I need to tell you a truth that the food industry has worked decades to hide from you. Right now, millions of people around the world are cooking their meals, frying their foods, and dressing their salads with oils that have been marketed as healthy, natural, and even heart beneficial, when in reality these very same products are causing a silent war inside your body. Think about it. How many times have you heard that you should replace butter with sunflower oil? Or that soybean oil is a healthier option for cooking? Maybe you've been convinced that vegetable oils are always better than animal fats, or that the more processed and refined, the more pure and safe it would be for your family. But what if I told you that this narrative was carefully constructed by an industry that profits billions of dollars selling products that are literally inflaming your cells with every meal? The truth is that your body is sending distress signals every day through symptoms you're probably attributing to stress, age, or simply the pace of modern life. That joint pain that appears for no apparent reason, that bloated feeling after meals, the difficulty losing weight even while dieting, and exercising, and even that unexplained irritability that comes out of nowhere. All of these could be direct reflections of the oils you consume daily. What revolts me most is knowing that we're talking about systematic manipulation of nutritional information. For decades, we've been bombarded with studies funded by the vegetable oil industry itself, research that conveniently ignored the devastating effects of these products on our immune system, our metabolism, and our natural ability to burn fat. Meanwhile, truly beneficial oils were demonized, labeled as dangerous or heart disease causers, creating a complete inversion of nutritional reality. But perhaps the most frightening thing about all this is discovering how these healthy oils behave inside your body. When you heat soybean, corn, or sunflower oil to make that simple fry or sauté, you're creating toxic compounds that your cells don't recognize as food. Your immune system goes on high alert, triggering an inflammatory response that can last hours or even days after a single meal. And this happens every time you cook, every time you eat out, every time you consume any processed food containing these oils, which is practically every industrialized product we find in supermarkets. What you need to understand is that we're not just talking about an isolated nutritional issue. We're talking about a silent epidemic that's happening inside our homes, in our kitchens, through choices we make believing we're taking care of our health and our family's health. And the worst part is that the more healthy you try to be, the more you strive to cook at home and avoid fast food, the more you might be exposing yourself to these toxic oils disguised as nutritious options. Now that you understand the scope of the problem, I need to show you exactly which are the 3 most dangerous oils that are probably in your pantry right now, and why they're causing such intense inflammation in your body that it could be sabotaging all your efforts to live a healthier life. What I'm about to reveal will shock you, because we're talking about products that are not only widely recommended by misinformed health professionals, but are also present in practically every processed food you consume. The first villain is soybean oil, which alone represents more than 60% of all vegetable oil consumption worldwide. You probably have a bottle of it in your kitchen right now, maybe even thinking it's a smart choice because it's cheaper and goes further. But what you don't know is that soybean oil goes through such an aggressive refining process that involves chemical solvents like hexane, the same compound used in fuels, to extract oil from the seeds. After that, it's bleached with diatomaceous earth, deodorized at extremely high temperatures, and treated with sodium hydroxide. The final product that reaches your table has nothing to do with the original soybean anymore, and is loaded with omega-6 in proportions that never existed in nature. When you consume soybean oil regularly, you're creating a dramatic imbalance in the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in your body. The second devastating oil is sunflower oil, which many people choose thinking it's more natural because it comes from a pretty yellow flower. The irony is cruel, isn't it? This oil goes through even more violent processing than soybean oil, And when heated, which is exactly what you do when you cook, it releases aldehyde compounds that are literally carcinogenic. Studies show that just one fry with sunflower oil can produce more toxic aldehydes than the maximum limit recommended by the World Health Organization for daily consumption. And you're doing this every time you prepare a meal. But perhaps the most treacherous of all is canola oil, marketed as the healthy heart oil in million-dollar campaigns that invaded our collective consciousness. The word canola itself is a marketing invention. It comes from Canadian oil low acid, created to mask the fact that we're talking about rapeseed oil, a plant that was used as industrial lubricant before being genetically modified for human consumption. Canola oil contains erucic acid, which in animal studies caused severe heart lesions, and even the improved versions maintain concerning levels of this compound. What makes me most outraged is realizing how these three oils are literally in everything. You look at the label of any cookie, snack, ready-made sauce, margarine, mayonnaise, or even those whole grain breads you buy, thinking you're making a healthy choice, and there they are. You go to a healthy restaurant, order a salad, and the house dressing was made with soybean oil. You buy that grilled salmon thinking you're investing in your health, but it was cooked in sunflower oil that transformed all the beneficial omega-3s in the fish into inflammatory compounds. The reality is that you're being slowly poisoned meal after meal, and the worst part is that you're paying for it to happen. Your symptoms aren't coincidence, they aren't genetics, they aren't just the result of aging. That morning stiffness in your joints, that difficulty losing belly fat, those anxiety episodes that come out of nowhere, that feeling of tiredness that persists even after a good night's sleep. All of this could be directly connected to the inflammatory load these oils are dumping into your system every day. And you know what's the cruelest part of this whole story? It's that the more health conscious you become, the more you try to avoid sugar, white flour, and obviously processed foods, the more you end up focusing on cooking at home with these healthy oils, exponentially multiplying your exposure to these toxins disguised as food. But now I need to reveal the darkest secret of all, that hidden ingredient that the food industry never wants you to discover. Because it's what transforms any oil, even those that could be relatively safe, into true poison for your cells. I'm talking about a process that happens right under your nose, literally in your kitchen, every time you turn on the stove. And that's creating compounds so toxic that your liver goes into panic mode, trying to process these substances that should never enter your body. The killer ingredient isn't exactly an ingredient, it's heat. Yes, you heard that right. When you heat these refined vegetable oils at normal cooking temperatures, something devastating happens at the molecular level. The chemical bonds of these oils, which were already violently altered during industrial processing, begin to break and reorganize in completely anomalous ways, creating compounds that simply don't exist in nature and that your body has no idea how to process. Imagine your frying pan as a chemistry laboratory, where every second that passes with the oil heating, thousands of toxic reactions are happening simultaneously. Mutagenic aldehydes are forming, carcinogenic acrolein, lipid oxidation compounds that directly attack your cell membranes, and free radicals in such absurd quantities that your natural antioxidant system simply can't keep up. It's like you're bombarding your body with chemical ammunition with every bite. What makes me absolutely outraged is discovering that studies on healthy oils are always done with cold oils, never with heated oils. Have you noticed this manipulation? They test sunflower oil in the laboratory at room temperature and proclaim that it's rich in vitamin E and beneficial for cardiovascular health. But who consumes cold sunflower oil? Absolutely nobody. You use this oil to cook, to fry, to sauté, and the moment it reaches 356 degrees Fahrenheit, a common frying temperature, it transforms into a chemical bomb completely different from what was tested in the laboratory. The critical temperature where molecular catastrophe happens varies from oil to oil, but all these refined vegetable oils have a dangerously low smoke point. soybean oil begins to degrade from 320-degree barf, releasing toxic compounds well before you even see any smoke coming from the pan. Sunflower oil becomes poisonous from 338 degrees. And the worst of all, canola oil, which is marketed as ideal for cooking, begins producing carcinogenic substances at just 302 degrees, a temperature you reach making a simple onion sauté. But here's the cruelest detail. The industry knows this. They know exactly what happens when you heat these oils. There are internal studies from major food corporations, documents that have leaked over the years, showing they always knew the risks. But instead of alerting consumers, they invested billions in marketing campaigns to convince you these oils are safe, while simultaneously funding biased research that only tested oils in cold state. And you know what's even more perverse? They created an entire category of products called frying oils, or high-temperature oils, which are nothing more than these same toxic oils with chemical additives to mask the smell and taste of the poisonous compounds that form when heated. It's like they're saying, look, we know it becomes toxic when heated, so let's add more chemicals so you don't notice you're being poisoned. The result of all this in your body is an inflammatory storm that begins the moment you swallow the first bite of any food prepared with these heated oils. Your immune system recognizes these strange compounds as invaders and triggers an emergency response. Your white blood cells enter attack mode, releasing inflammatory cytokines that spread throughout your body. Your liver goes into overload trying to filter these toxins. Your kidneys work at accelerated pace, and your arteries begin developing microinflammations that, over time, transform into atherosclerotic plaques. With every meal prepared with these heated oils, you're literally aging your cells more rapidly, compromising your ability to burn fat efficiently, and creating the perfect environment for chronic disease development. And the most tragic part is that this is happening in the kitchens of families most dedicated to health. Those people who make sure to cook at home avoid fast food read labels, but who have been completely deceived about which oil to use. Now that you know the terrible truth about how these oils are attacking your body, I need to help you identify if you're already suffering the devastating effects of this silent chemical assault. What I'm about to reveal are the 5 unmistakable signs that cooking oils are sabotaging your health, and I'm absolutely certain you'll recognize at least 2 of them in your own life. These aren't vague symptoms or coincidences. They're urgent messages your body is sending, begging you to stop feeding this internal war. The first sign, and perhaps the most treacherous of all, is unexplained fatigue that hits mainly after meals. You finish lunch, and instead of feeling nourished and energized, a heavy tiredness takes over your body. It's not just drowsiness. It's a deep exhaustion that seems to drain your strength, as if someone had turned off your internal battery. This happens because your liver is working in emergency mode to process all those toxins from heated oils, diverting energy that should be available for your normal activities. Your body is literally fighting against what you just ate, treating your meal as if it were a toxic invasion. The second sign is joint inflammation that appears and disappears with no apparent cause. You wake up with stiff fingers, feel knee pain going upstairs, or that uncomfortable sensation in your neck that you attribute to your pillow or work posture. But the truth is that these pains are a direct reflection of the inflammatory cascade that these toxic oils trigger in your system. The inflammatory compounds circulate through your bloodstream and deposit in your joints, creating microinflammations that manifest as stiffness, pain, and discomfort. It's your body screaming that it's being attacked from the inside out. The third sign, and here I'm sure you'll recognize yourself, is the inexplicable compulsion for processed foods and sweets, especially in the afternoon. You eat a lunch you consider healthy, but a few hours later, you feel an uncontrollable urge to eat junk food, as if your body were begging for sugar or refined carbohydrates. This isn't a lack of willpower. It's a direct biochemical response to inflammation caused by toxic oils. When your cells are inflamed, they can't efficiently use glucose, so your brain interprets this as lack of energy and triggers intense hunger signals for quick fuel sources. The fourth sign is something most people don't even associate with cooking oils: skin problems that seem to come out of nowhere. Adult acne, dry skin, eczema that appears and disappears, or that tired, dull appearance that no cosmetic can resolve. Your skin is your body's largest organ and one of the main channels for eliminating toxins. When your liver can't adequately process all the toxic substances from heated oils, your skin takes on part of this function, resulting in inflammations, eruptions, and an appearance that reflects exactly the internal chaos happening in your body. The fifth sign, and perhaps the most frustrating for those trying to lose weight, is the inability to lose belly fat even while dieting and exercising. You might even lose weight in other parts of your body, but that belly fat stubbornly stays there, as if it were immune to all your efforts. This happens because chronic inflammation caused by toxic oils keeps your cortisol levels constantly elevated, and cortisol has a special affinity for storing fat in the abdominal region. Additionally, inflammation directly interferes with insulin sensitivity, transforming your body into a fat-storing machine instead of a fat-burning one. But here's what worries me most. These 5 signs don't happen in isolation. They're part of a progressive picture of health deterioration that starts subtly and intensifies over time. Today, it might just be tiredness after meals. Tomorrow, you develop insulin resistance. Then comes metabolic syndrome, and eventually it can evolve into type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, or even some types of cancer. All starting with something seemingly as innocent as choosing the wrong oil for cooking. What distresses me most is knowing that millions of people are experiencing these symptoms right now, consulting doctors, taking tests, taking medications to treat the effects, but never discovering the root cause of the problem. They continue using the same toxic oils every day, perpetuating the cycle of inflammation and disease, having no idea that the solution might simply be changing the cooking oil. And you know what's the cruelest part of this whole situation? It's that the more you try to be healthy, the more you cook at home avoiding processed food, the more you might be exposing yourself to these devastating oils. You're doing everything right, but using the wrong tool, and this is sabotaging all your efforts to achieve the health you deserve. The moment you've been waiting for has arrived. I'm going to reveal which is the only oil you should use in your kitchen, and how to apply the complete protocol to choose, store, and correctly use this nutritional treasure that can literally reverse years of damage caused by toxic oils. What you're about to discover isn't just a recommendation. It's a complete revolution in how you'll relate to fat in your diet. And I'm certain the results will show up in your body and energy within weeks. The oil that will transform your health is authentic extra virgin olive oil. But attention, I'm not talking about that cheap olive oil from the supermarket that you probably have at home. I'm talking about true extra virgin olive oil, cold-pressed first extraction, that maintains all the anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and cardiovascular protection properties that nature developed over millennia. This oil isn't just safe, it's actively healing for your body. When you consume authentic extra virgin olive oil, you're introducing into your body a natural pharmacy of bioactive compounds. Oleic acid, which represents 70% of this oil's composition, is a monounsaturated omega-9 that reduces inflammation, improves insulin sensitivity, and protects your arteries. The polyphenols present in olive oil function as powerful antioxidants, neutralizing free radicals that cause cellular aging. And natural vitamin E protects these good fats from oxidation, keeping them stable even when properly heated. But here's the secret the industry doesn't want you to know. 70% of oils sold as extra virgin in supermarkets are fraudulent. They've been mixed with cheap refined oils, underwent chemical processing, or were extracted with heat, completely losing their beneficial properties. It's like buying medicine and receiving a placebo, or worse, receiving exactly the poison you're trying to avoid. The protocol for choosing the correct olive oil starts with observing the packaging. First, only buy olive oil in dark glass bottles or metal cans. If it's in transparent or plastic containers, you can be sure it's already lost much of its properties due to light exposure. Second, look for the olive harvest date, not just the expiration date. A truly extra virgin olive oil should proudly show when its olives were harvested. Third, be suspicious of very low prices. An authentic olive oil is expensive to produce, and if it's too cheap, something's wrong. The most reliable test you can do at home: put a small amount of olive oil in the refrigerator for a few hours. Authentic extra virgin olive oil will thicken and form small whitish crystals because monounsaturated fats solidify at low temperatures. If it remains completely liquid in the fridge, you have an adulterated product with refined oils in your hands. It's a simple test that can save your health. Now, about storage. Your olive oil should stay in a cool, dark place away from heat sources. Don't leave it next to the stove or on a shelf that receives sunlight. The coolest cabinet in your kitchen is the ideal place. And here's a crucial tip. After opening the bottle, consume within 3 months maximum. Olive oil isn't wine. It doesn't improve with time. On the contrary, it gradually loses its antioxidant properties. For culinary use, quality extra virgin olive oil can indeed be heated, but intelligently. It withstands temperatures up to 356 degrees Celsius without degrading significantly, which is sufficient for sautéing, roasting, and even light frying. But avoid prolonged frying at high temperatures. For these specific situations, use olive oil only to finish the dish, adding it after cooking to preserve all beneficial compounds. And here's the most exciting part. When you make this transition from toxic oil to authentic olive oil, your body responds almost magically. In the first weeks, you'll notice post-meal fatigue decreases dramatically. In 1 month, joint pain begins to improve. In 2 months, your skin gains a glow and softness you haven't seen in years. And in 3 months, that stubborn belly fat finally starts to melt, because your body stops living in constant inflammatory state and returns to burning fat as it should. But don't stop there. Use olive oil raw, too. Finishing your dishes, dressing salads, drizzling over cooked vegetables. Every drop of authentic extra virgin olive oil you consume is actively repairing damage from years of toxic oils, rebuilding your cell membranes, reducing systemic inflammation, and returning to your body the ability to function like a perfect health machine. This isn't just a dietary change. It's a declaration of war against the industry that profits from your illness. It's a conscious choice to prioritize your health over convenience. It's the first step to regaining control over your life and well-being. You deserve to feel vibrant, energetic, and healthy every day. And this transformation starts now, in your kitchen, with a simple but revolutionary decision. If this video opened your eyes to the truth about cooking oils, and you're ready to make this transformative change in your life, leave a comment saying, "Real olive oil." I want to celebrate every person who's deciding to prioritize their authentic health. And if you believe more people need to discover these secrets that can save lives, share this content with someone you love. Because when we share true knowledge, we're spreading health throughout the world. Together, we can create a real health revolution that starts in our kitchen and spreads to all families who deserve to live with full vitality.